So welcome back. My next guest is Joe Farkas from Metropolitan Realty Associates. Welcome, Joe.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you for having me, Supervisor.
So really delighted to have you here. You've really kind of jumped into Clarkstown with both feet. You've got a great piece of property that you've acquired here, the old Macy's building over at the shops at Nanuet, and MRA is doing a great redevelopment of the site. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a moment. But before we get to that, if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about your background and how you founded Metropolitan Realty Associates.
Sure, I'd love to. So it's been a fairly extensive and long background. I started in the commercial real estate business 35 years ago with one of New York City's most recognized commercial services company, Cushman & Wakefield, and got a good background in several different divisions of the company and kind of learned my way through the real estate service business. And over time, had the need and the desire to want to expand that knowledge and get into the investment sales business and really own real estate for myself and for my family and try and develop properties along the way. I think as a kid, I used to love, building blocks and Legos and, making different designs of homes and buildings. And I saw it as a way through investment to learn how to develop. And I did that by partnering with a couple of people at the beginning of my business. And then in 2001, stepped out on my own and formed Metropolitan Realty Associates to focus on buying vacant office buildings at the time, suburban office buildings, to lease up, reposition, and sell. And I had some good early success, which got me motivated to do more and bigger projects. And over time got into the construction and redevelopment business, taking a lot more risk, but hoping also at the same time to reap some greater rewards. And it's been challenging and it's been exciting, and I feel like the company's been able to leave a mark in the neighborhoods that we do business and where we develop and own buildings or transform buildings in a very positive way. And working in the town of Clarkston with you, Mr. Supervisor, and the people that run the building department and just all the great talented folks in the neighborhood has been an awesome experience, and really excited about what the shops at Nanuet and my project, the Macy's redevelopment, can be.
And I'm really looking forward to getting to that, but I do want to throw you some kudos as well. Maybe you could speak a little bit about one of the big projects that you did down in the Bronx that we had talked about. One of the first times we had met was you had really redone an old factory and turned it into kind of a mall down in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Maybe you could speak about that.
Sure, I'd love to. That was a very exciting project, very difficult, but very exciting. I was fortunate to purchase the old Stelladora cookie factory, which was a staple in the neighborhood of Riverdale and Kingsbridge in the Bronx, and had a great history of making unbelievable cookies. And the stories I would hear about the factory always circled around the unbelievable smell that came from the building every morning when they started baking, and people would just tell these stories, oh, the smell, and I felt terrible that the smell wasn't going to be there for them anymore. But that wasn't my issue. It was really that the company had decided to move from the Bronx, unfortunately, but they were going in a different direction. The piece of property was vacant. It was lying idle with no development plans for it. And I had a very good relationship with BJ's Wholesale Club, who also has a club in the local area here in Nanuet. They're terrific people. They were on an expansion, had an expansion plan, and very interested in the boroughs, and kind of put two and two together and said, hey, how about the Bronx? How about the old Stelladora cookie factory? And they loved the idea, and it was an interesting piece of property that we made work, and were able to deliver a 125,000 foot store for them below ground, which was very unique, and we put parking on top. And then on the rest of the site, we brought about 11 national companies to the Bronx that had never been in the Bronx. Several of them had never been in the Bronx before, many restaurants and vendors. And it took about 2.5 years to build. Very challenging construction because we were below ground, we were over the Bronx River, we were in water. It was a very difficult build, but we got it done. And it's funny you say that. I was in the Bronx last week looking at another project and went back to my old stomping grounds and took a tour of the building, and it looked terrific. BJ's was doing wonderfully. For that matter, all the retailers there were doing very well. And I was very proud, and again, it was a very nice collaboration of efforts between the Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz, his economic development counselor Marlene Cintrone, who was unbelievable, and we delivered a great project to the neighborhood that sorely needed it because what was there could not remain.
No, absolutely, and I was familiar with that project before I had met you. My wife was originally from Kingsbridge, although she hadn't lived there in 30 some odd years. But I was very familiar with that portion.
I didn't know. That's a little personal fact I was not aware of. That's great.
Claflin Avenue, not too far away from there. But
wow.
I very much remember the Stella d'Oro bread cookie place and bread factory when I was in the seminary, and I would be down in that area as well in the Bronx. So. It really was a staple of that area of the Bronx, and now what you've created and redeveloped is now the new staple for the next 50 or 100 years.
Yeah, I would agree with you. The nicest part of that development was really the amount of jobs we brought to the neighborhood. From a construction standpoint, we did all union construction there, and on an ongoing basis, we brought a company that hired well over 200 people, really replacing the number of workers that were there initially, and then all the other tenants that we brought in created more jobs, and it was a win-win for the Bronx, and really it was one of the first projects that started the whole revitalization of the Bronx over the last 5-6 years. President Ruben Diaz really had a vision for how he wanted to see the Bronx develop. He was extremely pro-business, as you are, which is always a pleasure for a developer coming into a town to work with a business-friendly and development-friendly government. He really had the right ideas. Marlene Cintrone had the right ideas. It was a great experience. Right. Yeah, really, really great experience.
Well, that's a perfect segue into what we're talking about. So MRA has really done a number of really important projects. You've projects all around the tri-state area. And we're delighted to have you here in Clarkstown. So we have the shops in Nanuet, and just to set the stage for folks, Simon Properties owns the majority of the shops in Nanuet. You acquired and purchased one of the anchor stores, one of the tenant stores that had been there for very many years, the old Macy's, and now you're redeveloping it, and we're excited about that. And let's talk about that. Maybe you talk about your overall vision. And I know we have home goods, which is under development now, and you could maybe speak about that as well.
Sure, I'd love to. So, clearly was not familiar with your town or Nanuet for that matter, and when the opportunity was presented to me to purchase the Macy's store, I was honestly a little bit concerned. What am I going to do with this, and why Nanuet? And I had one of my research analysts start doing some digging on the population and kind of the management of the town and how things were kind of set up there. And I got more and more intrigued, and I was encouraged to go take a look. Go take a look. You should take a look at 59. It's everything. Everybody's on 59. I said, oh, everybody's there. Okay, maybe that's good. Maybe it's not good, but let me take a look. And I drove out to visit the Macy's store while it was still in business. And before I really looked at the Macy's store, I looked at this incredible redevelopment by Simon Properties of the shops at Nanuet, and the value of the construction and visual appeal of what they had set up in this great lifestyle mall, I said, wow, I hadn't seen something like that locally in a long time. And I really felt a sense of place and being when I was there. I said, I can see myself shopping here. I'm sure other people like it. And I started digging into the development and basically the overall cost of the program, what I was thinking, where rents were, how it could be competitive. And we started looking for some tenants to really fill, the building. And retail at the time was a challenging word, right? Finding money, raising money from banks and equity partners was going to be a challenge, but I felt with my background, my company's experience, and all that we had done in the past, we'd get over that. So I kind of put money aside and really focused on tenancy. And through one of my strong brokerage relationships, I found the At Home company. At Home is a publicly traded company. It's based in Plano, Texas. I was able to do some research on their business, how they were handling themselves, what their expansion plans were for not only the country, but more specifically New York, which is where I was focused. And I thought, wow, these guys are a warehouse, retailer for home goods. Sounds like it could be a good fit. And we quickly got to work with them, and there was a lot of interest in the project because they were trying to come east. They were trying to get to the New York market and had been looking in Rockland County, many parts, but hadn't found the right project yet. And like anything, it's a little bit of luck and a little bit of knowledge, and we were able to pair them with the first floor of the building, and we kind of made a marriage. And then we just had to figure out how do we design this thing for it to work for them. And we had great architects and engineers, and we put together a great program. We added, as you know, 2 loading docks specifically for At Home's use so they could load. The old Macy's department store only loaded off the top back side of the building and wasn't going to work in a multi-tenanted scenario. So now Macy's is gone. They don't own or operate in the whole building. We had to figure that out, and once we got through that challenge, we just had to figure out where we were going to put another vertical lobby. We were able to design that, and we signed the lease. We closed on the project. We got a building permit from town of Clarkston, and we're kind of off to the races. And right now, the At Home store is about to be finished. I think they'll be done with their construction, I think, by beginning of November. They're planning to get themselves fixtured, as it's called in the retail business, and merchandised and be ready to open. Unfortunately, not for the Christmas holiday. They're going to miss that just for timing because of the setbacks from, the COVID pandemic and the construction shutdown by the governor. But not to speak for them, obviously, but they're focused on a 2021 very early opening. And I've been told it's the first store opening they're going to do. They're very excited about Nanuet. They want to be here. They think it's going to be a very, very successful store. They love the Simon property as well, as I did. They saw the vision. The CEO of At Home, Lee Bird, loves the site and really can't wait to do a ribbon cutting. So
That's great.
you'll obviously be there with us, and that'll be an exciting time.
Looking
sure.
forward to it. So, so again, with any such as we had talked, we started off with your redevelopment in the Bronx. So here, this is something that's going to be different. At Home is taking half of the store,
Sure.
and then
sure.
the other half. What are your plans for the other half, and what the rest of the site?
Right. So, what we have now is roughly 100,000 feet of available space on the top floor, and we've also created plans for a 5,000 square foot retail pad building on what would be the east side of the building, with 2 drive-throughs, a double drive-through, which we're getting a lot of interest in from, as you would imagine, fast food restaurants, fast casual restaurants, banks, investment companies, things of that nature. Very interesting. We haven't landed anyone yet, but you'll be the first to know that. And on the second floor, our focus right now with the challenges of retail are really directed around the home businesses, retailers that service anything that has to do with your home, anything that has to do with offices, because really the way the world has moved, people are spending a lot more time in their homes these days. They're home officing, not just home living. And companies that do appliances, entertainment equipment, furniture, patio work, office furniture, things, I'm just throwing off a bunch of different things, appliance showrooms, anything that has to do with the home or the home office is really our focus. And we've narrowed down a couple of very serious prospects that are, household names, no pun intended,
Right.
that have shown serious interest in the project. They also see the synergy to being with a company like At Home. It'd be great to have a whole home service type of tenancy at the building where it's kind of one-stop shopping. Come and look at appliances, come and shop for your home, for home goods, come and check out TVs and whatever it is, kind of come and be a great source of home shopping. So
Right.
that's where our focus is right now. We're having some good success with it. So I hope to be able to announce some new tenants very soon.
Which we're really excited about. And I know, Joe, that you've been, I know the Chamber of Commerce has had some conversations with you, so it's not just that you're coming in as a developer from outside of the area and not really giving back to the community. You yourself personally have been very involved in a lot of philanthropic endeavors, and I know you've been supportive of some things with the Chamber, and you'll continue to do that. And I think you're a great addition to our community, and looking forward to what the future is going to hold for this site, and hopefully potentially other areas within the region that you may be doing some work on as well.
Absolutely.
So, Joe, we're about out of time. I do want to thank you for being just a wonderful guest, and really credit to as a developer coming in. I mean, it's funny. I probably could balance the state budget if somebody gave me $1 for I was given $1 every time I was asked about what's going on with Macy's and the shops. So now
I hope I filled you in a little bit without giving out too many secrets.
So, but at least more importantly, it's a really great sign. Even during this COVID pandemic, where we're having a bunch of ribbon cuttings, where things are starting to sprout, and hopefully this is really going to be a V-shaped recovery. And but more importantly, this is something that was before the pandemic, and it's the redevelopment of a very key parcel within the town. And it's a great sign about the vibrant health, the economy here in Clarkstown. And I look forward to continuing to partner with you for as long as I'm supervisor in the town of Clarkstown.
Thank you so much. We're very excited. We look to do more in the town of Clarkston. It's a great place to live and do business. And thanks for having me. Thanks for your staff being so welcoming as well.
Great.
It's been a great experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back.